This is Rockslapping Champions. Player 1, saying that he's going to defend on Dead of Night, playing Swann. We have Sand of a Beach. And player 2, playing Tychus, we have Evil Lane. So you will notice that we have a bunch of mutators active on this mission. We have Propagators and Avenger. So this one is basically the Knock Knock mutation, which is available this week, assuming that I release this video on time. So it'll either be this week or it'll be last week, but preferably this week is what my plan is. So we do have Propagators and Avenger, and you can see here the Evil Lane is telling his ally to try and push out during night number 3 because the Propagators can't get out of hand, and he is not wrong. So Propagators are really scary units. So if you've never done weekly mutations before, Propagators basically take the same model as Changelings from the ladder, the Overseer ability, and if they touch any one of your units or structures, they instantly kill that unit or structure off, and they convert that into another Propagator. Hence the name, they propagate themselves. And this means that the mission can quickly spiral out of control, and you can, one moment you could be winning a mission, another moment you could be getting completely wrecked, and you can almost guess what is going to be happening throughout the course of this Rockslapping Champions episode. Now additionally, we also have Avenger, and Avenger basically makes enemy units stronger when enemy units around them are being killed off. And obviously, as a true Blizzard nature, it means that the Avenger stacks can also be given to the Propagators. And there are a lot of benefits to Avenger stacks, like they get attack speed, they get movement speed, they get armor, they get life, and they get the life regeneration. So now, if you have a 10 stack Propagator, you basically have a speeding bullet towards your base that basically one-shots everything, so you can see how pleasant that can be. So this mutation, obviously, really difficult, very scary if you're not paying attention, and if you do not have a good ally. But this is Rockslapping Champions, and we only feature the best allies on this video series. Here we have Crooked Sam and Tychus, and now we have the first Propagator. And do note, try and keep an eye out on the minimap because the Propagators are labeled here, and we can see that we have Crooked Sam and Tychus that are ready to deal with this first Propagator. Now generally speaking, I prefer to not get Crooked Sam unless you're dealing with a very early fast Propagator, but usually Crooked Sam on this mission not really necessary. Tychus can basically just kite the Propagator back, especially when he has his Swann ally that is building a Blaster Billy, which is actually a good choice because a Blaster Billy can slow, it has a slow debuff they can apply to this Propagator. Obviously here you can see now the Propagator is getting slowed down by the Blaster Billy, and this is basically how you want to deal with it as Swann. And while the players are defending during the first night, I will just show you the masteries while we get everything else set up. We have 30 points to the Combat Drop Mastery for Swann, 30 points to the Structure Health Mastery, and 30 points to the Drill Upgrade. So we should be expecting a very structure-centric build here for Swann. And for Tychus, we have a random split here that Evil Lane is very known for his signature style of co-op play. And now we have the next Propagator that is spawning. And the other thing to also draw your attention to is Propagators spawn from any random enemy structure. So if you are to all clear the map, Propagators will stop spawning. On this mission, obviously, if you end up all clearing the mission, it means that you basically won the mission. So you're going to be dealing with Propagators throughout the course of this game. And you can see, I think I'm going to try and show you these Avenger stacks being given out here. You can see like some of these units are a little bit larger and they're glowing a little bit. So you can see now that Swann is getting harassed by a bunch of Ravens, and there is another Propagator here that wanted to try and kill off Swann's very valuable defenses of 3 Blaster Billies and 3 Flaming Betties. And he's already started to add some siege tanks into the mix. You can see these Kaboomers as well are giving out Avenger stacks to the units around them when they die. Now, one thing to note is that the Special Infested each do have their own. Look at how tanky this thing is. Another secret missile is been targeted from this Raven and ends up hitting this SCV. Unfortunately, it ends up picking off that siege tank. But the Avenger stacks are given out by the Special Infested units as well, so these commanders will have to be a little bit careful with how they choose to engage these units. You can see here again This aberration will start to try and slowly pick up some Avenger stacks if it does not end up randomly spazzing out. But the night is almost done. There are only 30 seconds left on the timer, and there's another propagator on the way. And these commanders seem to be doing okay so far in terms of their defenses. But this is only night number 1. On night number 2, the northern side will open up, and this will make defenses for Swann a little bit harder, especially because he is not putting down any defenses yet on that side. And that may be a little bit of a problem. There's another propagator that will be coming up here. I think that's the propagator. And again, gets manually targeted by the drill. Crooked Sam also has a stun upgrade now. He ends up stopping the propagator right in its tracks. And now there is a ping there from Swann saying to go ahead and push, but Tychus is moving in the wrong direction. I'm not sure what Tychus is checking out over here. Seems to be moving up. Oh, I think he wants to go and airlift himself over the side, I think, and he wants to try and start pushing up. Nope, never mind. He's unsure. He's gotten Blaze out. Okay, he's waiting for his buddy Blaze to come out. And I think he wants to go and just airlift himself up over the side and get himself down. Okay, he has dropped his combat drop, or that's the Swann's combat drop, and now Tychus does end up airlifting himself over, and now they're going to start attacking this enemy base here. And again, it's not really too bad, but the enemy units will start getting tankier and tankier as enemy units around them die. You can see this hybrid dominator already reasonably large. And I think for the most part, the propagators are going to be fine. Tychus taking a little bit too much damage here. And where is... There is no healer over here, so Tychus is basically trying to tread on a very, very fine line here. It could be absolutely devastating if he ends up losing his units unnecessarily, which would be very unfortunate. You can see Tychus is going to try and take out these Ghost Academies because he knows what's going to happen on night number, or at least on day number 4, I believe, or day number 3 is when Ghost will start to nuke your base. So clearing out these Ghost Academies is, I think, what Tychus is trying to do right now. He just wants to quickly clear out these Ghost Academies to make sure Amon doesn't end up nuking him during the next day. There's another propagator over here, but I think for the most part this player's base is safe, so we're just going to have a look and see what Tychus is doing. Swann slowly starting to push through as well, clearing out some of these structures, which is all okay. And we'll have a look at the mission completion as well. There are 136 structures left on the minimap, so there's still a while before these commanders are done with this mutation. Let's have a look at the production now. So Swann is getting a few upgrades. He is getting his Maelstrom round upgrades, he's getting his range upgrades, and he's getting the barrier upgrade as well for his science vessels, which do not appear to be existent anywhere on the minimap. There's an interesting decision here for Swann. But Tychus already starting to push through. He already used his own, he's used Nuke to clear out these structures as well. 126 structures infested left on the map, 5 seconds left, and that means Tychus will have to go home and relax for a while for the next day. And now we have another propagator that is coming up. But again, these propagators are fine. The dangerous part is when you have the infested units around them that are dying and giving them the Avenger stack. There are a bunch of SCVs that is moving here. I'm not sure why they are moving this direction. SCVs decide to get pulled back now. I'm not sure what what happened over there. I think it was just a missed rally. I think these SCVs do end up surviving and getting away before getting completely wrecked. Now we have another propagator that's coming up towards the northern side of the base, but again, the propagator will not attack these rocks. They will move down the pathable area and they will try and attack this side, and this might be a little bit of a problem. You can see now Swann is starting to put down some defenses. He has not put down any defenses during the first or during the second day, so now this area is reasonably undefended if it wasn't for Tychus. Basically parked himself on the side to try and hold while Swann gets everything else up and running. You can see these siege tanks just completely wrecking everything along the way. Propagator, again, getting slowed down by the blaster abilities, which makes it really, really valuable. And now we have hit the 12-minute mark, which means we have double propagator spawns. And throughout the course of the mission, more and more propagators will start spawning from the enemy structures. So it starts off with only one, and eventually goes up to a maximum of 5, I believe. You can see now the next special infested, we had Kaboomers first, and now we have the beloved Chonkers, which are there to try and chunk your enemy, your hero units. If you are a Nova, if you are a Dahaka, you have definitely been chonked by these Chonkers. And we have now another propagator over here, and there is a large wave of infested, but as you can see, these siege tanks just having no problems dealing with these units. But see, these aberrations just growing so large because of the large number of infested units that are there, and just providing a lot of value and Avenger stacks. So that Joker does end up getting picked off now, and there's another Joker on the side that is coming up. We have still time for another couple of propagators that is coming up towards this central area. And so far so good. This area has been completely defended, which is good, which means that this side, the top side, will not get nuked by ghosts. There's another siege tank that seems to be exploring around here. The siege tank might not be too long for this world. It does end up getting caught by the aberrations here, and that siege tank does end up getting picked off right now. And yes, that is somewhat unfortunate, and now there's another wave of infested. But this wave of infested should really not be too much of a problem until the aberration starts to get really, really large. You can see these Avenger stacks now. See how fast the aberration just deals damage. And now there is a little bit of a wipeout for Swann. He has lost his front line, and another Seeker Missile onto one of these siege tanks. And that Seeker Missile is going to end up hitting its target here. So a total of, so far, only 2 Flaming Betties and one Ares drop has been picked off, and now another Super Missile on here. And this is what makes Ravens really annoying, and this is what makes Terran in general really annoying. And now we have another bunch of Propagators. These Propagators should be able to be addressed without too many problems. One Propagator down, and now we will have another Propagator as well. As long as the Propagators are alone and they don't have anything to buff them, they would just get completely melted by the siege tanks. Now Tychus is moving over here to try and push into the next side. He is just going to try and pick out these nukes, and there is another nuke onto Swann's area. Is Tychus going to help him? Because that could be really, really bad. Swann decides to move his Hercules into position and his science vessel, and he does end up picking off that one ghost. But yeah, Tychus wants to try and get access to those ghost academies. There's another ghost academy into the base on the southern side. It's a little bit difficult to do. And you can see that Swann is using his call downs to try and clear the structures, which is one strategy that you can use to clear this mission. And this is my preferred strategy as well. I do like to defend with Swann and just use my call downs to clear the enemy structures. And there is a very optimal positioning for Swann when it comes to using the call downs, and if you do that, and if you follow that, you can actually end up out DPSing your ally who's pushing out aggressively on the mission. Because Swann is really, really good at dealing with this mission. If you know what you were doing, check out Starcraft2Co-op.com for more information, because this is your #1 source of Starcraft 2 Co-op information. So we have another Propagator that is coming up over here, but again, this Propagator is not really going to be doing anything. But Tychus and Co, they have to be very, very careful with how they push, because you can see Swann is now slowly starting to attack these structures. But remember, the Propagators do spawn from enemy structures, so a Propagator could instantly spawn from like one of these structures and just end up nuking your face. So you can see now that there is another spawn of a Propagator here. This Propagator may actually start aggroing these siege tanks, which might be a little bit bad. Swann is not paying attention. He does end up targeting his drill, and fortunately for him, the Propagator does not end up targeting the siege tank wreckage there, which does end up saving Swann a little bit. But there's another Propagator coming up there. Nukes are taken care of from Evil Link, so he has cleared up all the Ghost Academies. I believe there are 3 on the map, 3 or 4 on the map. I think there's maybe one here, one, maybe 2 on this side. I can't remember, but he has now cleared out all the Ghost Academies, which means that Amon will not nuke him until the Ghost Academies are rebuilt. And Amon will rebuild the Ghost Academies. That's something else to take into consideration as well when you're doing this mission. And now Tychus has cleared out this side as well of the infested structures. There are a total of 83 infested structures left on this mission. And now we have 3 Propagator spawns coming up. And this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. And the reason why it's going to get difficult is because Swann doesn't really have adequate defenses on this side, and he has no defenses on these sides as well. And these sides are going to be opening up to this night, and for subsequent nights as well. Enemy waves will start attacking, and this is where bad things can happen. So Tychus has taken care of the Virophage, which is okay, but now the infested units are starting to attack this, and there are not nearly enough turrets and not nearly enough siege tanks to go and deal with this next set of attacks that will be coming up towards the players' bases. We have a total of 4 Propagators on the map, and these Propagators are also going to start moving in now because the doors are open, and they are basically getting an open invite to joining into these players' bases here. There's a Propagator that wants to try and aggro some of these units, but Tychus jumps just in time, ends up stunning that Propagator, and that Propagator does end up picking off 2 of those siege tanks down for Swann. And right now there is another Propagator here, but unfortunately it ends up picking off Tychus' turret that he has left behind. And now the Propagator has attacked that barricade, and now that area is open, and that is going to be a bit of a problem for these commanders. There's another propagator here, and again, gets stunned off by Crooked Sam's demolition charge, so all is okay here. Coop also ends up getting picked off, and now I think there's just a bunch of repairs on Swann's siege tanks. He's put down some more siege tanks to be able to defend the side. Unfortunately, his plan for defending, as he said earlier during the start of the mission, not really too wise. Again, another propagator here. Tychus has to be so careful with his outlaws because those outlaws are expensive, and just end up losing your random units over here. Blaze uses his oil spill to slow down the propagator, and will end up picking off that propagator through the help of the laser drill. And now there's another siege tank as well here to end up killing off this unit. And now we have a dank stank over here that is going to try and cause a little bit of problems. Now, the one thing to note about the stank is a stank is really tanky unit, but you can see how quickly Crooked Sam is able to clear out this. It's just such an effective way of dealing with just difficult units in general. Just having that stun ability makes it so easy. Now we have another propagator over here with a bunch of aberrations, and that propagator is going to start picking up a lot of Avenger stacks, and that is going to be a problem. The propagator now has reached Swann's front line, and the propagator is going to end up starting to gobble all these units over here. These siege tanks, these static defenses, that's pretty much all of Swann's army pretty much gone over there, and the Swann decides to drop a combat drop on top of the propagator, which is probably not a wise idea, and that propagator is going to end up propagating the rest of these combat drops. Tychus unfortunately does end up getting caught as well, and that propagator is causing complete havoc because it is a Avenger propagator over here. And finally, the propagator onslaught has ended just in time before their players completely lost their bases. But now is the pushing time, and now you can see we have 5 propagators spawning at a time, and this is where problems occur. Swann does not have adequate static defenses, but he does have a good number of siege tanks. So he does have his Maelstrom rounds upgrade, which is very useful. He has his level 2 attack upgrades as well, which means the siege tanks are going to be dealing a good amount of damage, and they should be able to end up one-shotting the propagators with a good number of salvos. But again, Tychus will have to be a little bit careful. He is sending Crooked Sam to intercept the propagator. Not really necessary though, because there are a good number of siege tanks that can deal with these propagators. And now there is another one over here, and now there is a scan, but another 5 propagators have started to spawn. You can see just the spawn rate of these propagators just goes up as the mission time progresses. And this is exactly what Tychus was saying earlier, is we have to be careful, we have to try and clear as quickly as possible before we start being overwhelmed by propagators. You can see the blaster billies end up slowing down the propagator, and these siege tanks just completely wreck everything that is there. And is that propagator picked off as well? There's still one more propagator left, but it doesn't really matter. So Tychus wants to go and start clearing this side. So what are you trying to ping? It's done. Okay. So they're going to start pushing through now, and Tychus is just going to use his Odin over there, ends up catching out 2 propagators in the process. You can see just how big that hybrid behemoth, or that hybrid weaver, the purple hybrid is, and I think Tychus should be okay as long as he is paying attention and does not end up getting caught by a random propagator spawn. But for the most part, all should be okay. Defense-wise, Swann has added a lot more siege tanks right now, and these are the last 3 structures that are left for Tychus to deal with on this side. There's still about half the map that needs to be covered up, but I think Tychus is going to get ready to move out right now, and he will be starting to push into this next side. Again, he's going to have to be careful with these propagators. Day 4 is almost ending, 20 seconds left on the timer, but Tychus is brave enough to go and face these propagators head on. He has Crooked Sam, and Crooked Sam has the demolition charge upgrade, which allows him to completely stun these propagators before they deal any damage. Unfortunately, his ally, I think his ally does have enough defenses now to be able to hold. I think siege tank wise, there is enough def on this mission now to be able to hold. So Tychus is just going to start pushing through. Has to be a little bit wary. There is a bunch of propagators that seem to be chilling on this side. They do not seem to be having aggro. I think they're stuck behind these structures. I think the propagators are right there. They ended up just getting stuck here. So for the most part, they'll be able to clear out the side without too much resistance. But they have to be careful of the random burst of propagators that is waiting there. So yeah, the propagator is kind of stuck over there. And I think one propagator does end up getting tagged, but the hybrid reaver is causing too many problems for these hero units because they are just so tanky. But very nice oil spill on Blaze, and a very nice target onto the propagator there as well. A few more propagators end up spawning. There's 2 more structures that need to be addressed by Tychus and Go. And I think there are a few more propagators on this side as well. And a hybrid dominate. Now there are 2 hybrid dominators, and this might be a bit of a problem because they're going to start attacking Blaze. Blaze has his ultimate upgrade. You can see, unfortunately, Blaze ends up getting picked off because these units have such a high auto attack. And now there is a pulse cannon onto this, but this tank is just absolutely massive. It has picked up so many Avenger stacks and is just one-shotting pretty much everything that is there. As far as Tychus goes, he's just busy clearing out the rest of this, and now this tank is just going to start attacking and just wrecking so much havoc into Tychus's base. And there goes both of Tychus's refineries. His SCVs are just getting completely mauled by that one stank here, and that stank has finally ended up going down. But there were a lot of losses over there. 7 SCVs down, or 20 SCVs down. 7 SCVs for Swann and 12 siege tanks. 1 Tychus and 1 Blaze. And now there is another propagator into this side. Unfortunately, not that much chaos that I can report on from here, because the propagator does end up getting focus fired down very quickly by Swann. But now we have another bunch of propagators that have spawned right now, and I think these commanders want to try and deal with this. Joker does end up catching out Sirius, and this is a problem because this propagator knows exactly where he wants to go, and it ends up propagating Sirius now, and Sirius has also ended up dying to a propagator. And I think Tychus is okay over here. On this side, I think seems to be all okay, but these Jokers are dealing so much damage to the front line of siege, to the front line of static defenses, and this might be a problem throughout the later course of this mission, because now there is another stank on the way, and this stank is being accompanied by a lot of aberrations, and now it has so many Avenger stacks because of the concentrated beam. And just see how big this tank is. It's just attacking Blaze, and Blaze is just getting completely wrecked by this tank. And now Tychus is just going to try and face tank this tank right now. And I think for the most part, this tank does end up dying finally. A few more propagators over here does end up catching up Blaze. Unfortunately, Blaze was not end up being able to survive. And Ralsik also getting picked off by that last propagator. And on here, I think everything is okay. There is an attack ping marker. And now we have another bunch of propagators that are spawning and making their way towards the player's base. Now, there is one other thing to also note is as you're pushing through and clearing this mission, because the propagators only spawn from enemy structures, it means that eventually you'll inevitably try and fight into a propagator. So we see here that another bunch of propagators are attacking. But eventually what's going to happen is that the propagators will only be spawning from the enemy structures that you're trying to push into, and this is what can be kind of dangerous if you are not paying attention to how propagators spawn. And now there's a hybrid dominator here. It ends up pretty much almost one-shotting Crooked Sam in the process, but Crooked Sam does end up exacting his revenge onto that dominator and killing it off. And now Tychus is joined by Rattlesnake, and they will start pushing into this next side. So over here, Swann has cleared out the remainder of the enemy structures on the southern side. So now there's only this one last hill, this high ground, that needs to be addressed by Tychus. Blaze is over here, and he'll be ready to join into the mix as well. 33 enemy structures left, 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the timer. Can they do it? They're going to start pushing through now and start attacking through this base. So they are starting to aggro here, and you can see now this propagator has ended up spawning, but Tychus is paying attention. He's ready to deal with this. And now Swann is also sending a bunch of siege tanks and a combat drop, and Sirius does end up getting picked off by that propagator. And on this side, fortunately, propagator not interested in dealing with these units. And now they are going to try and push into the higher ground here. Few siege tanks that are there with the Hercules, and they are dealing a good amount of damage. But now Rattlesnake and Crooked Sam and Blaze and Tychus are trying to push into this hybrid dominator over here. Another splash damage onto Rattlesnake, but Rattlesnake has enough HP now to survive. But now there is another propagator that has ended up spawning and did end up picking off one of these heroes here. And now another propagator has ended up spawning, and did end up getting focus fired down by Tychus, so that ends up saving them. And these propagators are fine as well. Another bunch of siege tanks does end up getting dropped here with a lot of mad hybrid reavers, and they're just dealing so much damage here. They have such a high attack speed. But Tychus is done. He's like, I want out of here, and he ends up dropping a final nuke that ends up clearing out 4 structures. There are only 5 structures left, which means the propagators will only be spawning from this, and these siege tanks I think are pretty much okay. I think as long as they don't end up getting caught by the propagator, but unfortunately the propagator does end up catching Rattlesnake, but ends up getting killed off by the army of siege tanks that are there. on the back line. And I think this is pretty much the end of the mission. There are 3 more structures left on the map. 1 has been picked off. There's 2 more now. There is GG, a preemptive GG. And I think, yeah, there you go. 1 more structure left. Focus fire down, and that is it. Those are all the infested structures cleared. That is GG.